Welcome back to another episode of Kate and Isaiah Living Large. I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Kate.
And on this episode, we're going to get caught up. We've actually, by the magic of time, we've been apart for 3 weeks now. Even though you guys got to see us for 3 weeks, we haven't seen each other for a little over 3 weeks now. So we're getting caught up.
And you should know that we actually don't speak to each other outside of this podcast.
Clearly.
To keep it fresh.
Clearly.
The only thing we say to each other is like, when are you free to record our podcast? I have something great to tell you, but I'll only do it on air.
Considering you were off all last week and I had time last week and we could have recorded up until... We're recording this on the Monday before this goes out on Wednesday, whatever. What's Wednesday's date?
Wednesday the...
20 something. Today's the 26th, right?
28th then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're recording this on the 26th. And apparently we could have recorded this all last week, but
this content will be fresh to death.
Yes, super fresh. Fresh as...
Uh-oh.
I don't know what. Fresh as the Prince of Bel-Air.
Nice.
All right, let's talk about what's new. What's the haps? What has been going on?
Well, I've done a lot of comedy, of course, like usual. In fact, after this, I'm running to the Bomb show to perform on that. I went to see a comedy show in Sussex on Friday night and got invited to perform.
Ooh.
So I felt pretty fancy after that. And then I also went to see Derek Sege at Punchlines on Saturday night.
Nice.
I'm going to do a shout out to Punchlines. Julie and Dale Tower, they put on great shows and like bring in like amazing comics. And if you ever just like want a cool night out in St. John, it's like a legitimate comedy club. And I highly recommend it. It's a good blend of local and out of town talent. And it just really great spot. I very much enjoy going there.
Yeah, no, I do like going to Punchline. They have a nice spot there.
And Derek Sege was real cool.
Nice.
And ran into my pal James Mullinger, who shouts me out on his podcast pretty frequently.
Nice.
So shout out to James Mullinger. Check him out at all his various dates. I think most notably September 27th at the Fredericton Playhouse is the one I remember.
That's what you remember?
Now.
Yeah.
And also St. Andrews for the St. Andrews Comedy Festival.
Oh, good. Oh, that's coming up too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Forgot about that.
And then I'll update you on the other. Tell me about your trip to Toronto.
Okay. You want to hear about my trip to Toronto?
I do.
First off, it was fantastic. The Childish Gambino show was probably in my top 3. Probably my second best concert I've ever been to.
What beat it?
Surprisingly, not a huge fan of her music, but Pink.
Nice.
Pink she is just a theatrical person. She puts on an amazing show.
That's awesome.
The Childish Gambino also super theatrical, but big laser show. It was a huge laser show. I may even like slap a video somewhere here while we're talking about this, just so you can see all the crazy lasers. But it was an amazing show. We had pretty good seats. He had 2 stages. He had a main stage and a second stage, and he would walk through the crowd to the other stages.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, it was really cool. This is his last show as Childish Gambino.
Right.
So it was totally worth it. Totally exciting. Toronto, like all places I go and visit, I always overestimate or underestimate how far things are in a map. And, you could just look at the map and say, oh, it's going to be like 15-minute walk. I should jump on a bus or something. But no, I do not do that when I'm at any other place but my own city. I am just like, oh, it's just down the street. And so we walked a lot.
That's not bad.
No, we did a whole lot walking though. The Friday we got there, the CNE was there, the exhibition, which was super cool. And my nephew was in Toronto for the first time. He'd never been. Cool. So we met up with my sister and my nephew, and we went to the CNE with him.
Oh, that's so fun.
I got to go on some rides with him. So that was fun. And then I met with my friend Higgins. Shout out to Higgins. He's been he's one of my friends since middle school. He's like probably my oldest friend. And so we met up and we went, and this is the crazy walking day. So we stayed at the Sheraton across from the Toronto line. if you know where that is. Sure. But anyway, we wanted to walk to first. I wanted to go to a anime store to pick up to check out some figures in Chinatown. Now I thought, oh, it's just down the street. Not just down the street. So we're walking and walking. We get to Spadina, which is pretty far away from where we were. And then we're like looking and it's like, oh my God, it's still like 4 blocks that way. We're like, well, we might as well keep going. So we got there. We did Chinatown for a bit, which was, they had a cool, they don't know what they had going on, but they had like people with like the dragons up and down the street and stuff. That was really cool.
That's cool.
And what else do? We did walk to the Kensington Market, which is cool. And then we were at the Kensington Market. Andrew was like, oh, let's go to Little Italy. And we're like, oh, I looked and oh, it's not that far. It's far. And we got caught in a rainstorm. But luckily we got caught in the rainstorm next to a bar that had food. So we just stopped in there.
Smart.
Yeah. But, and then we were like, well, we might as well walk down this street. And then we just ended up walking all the way back to our hotel. So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Lots of walking. Lots and lots of walking.
Well, that's good. I had an unfortunate incident this week. I ended up booking 4 days off of work this week. Just I hadn't used much vacation, and I was like, you know what? I had a couple of appointments, and more on that later. I had to get a filling. Went to the doctor, and I knew doctor was going to then involve blood work and all those other things that take time,
all that fun
and
stuff.
all of those things. And plus, I had a couple of comedy shows. Like I performed at Fringe last week for one show, open for John Forward. Shout out to 4-Story Walk Up and John and Brian and Aros podcast, which I guest hosted last week. And so that was pretty cool. So I did lots of fun stuff too, and lots of relaxing, which is all very good. But I learned a very hard lesson.
Oh?
I did not know that a mouse could crawl up in through the engine of your vehicle.
Oh, you didn't know that?
And die.
Yeah.
And then get caught up like Handy the filter and pump dead mouse smell into your car.
Yeah.
Through the ventilation system.
That is a possibility. It happens a lot. So this happened to you in the summer?
This happened to me the other day.
Hey, that's crazy. Normally, a lot of times it happens in the winter because your engine's warm and they're looking for a warm place to stay, and then they just kind of cook themselves.
Yeah, well, that happened, and I mean, I think most of the viewers know us, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's me as a person, I'm very busy, very on top of a whole bunch of different things. I commute to Fredericton, blah, 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 live on the 3rd floor of my building. And so what I will say about my car generally is that it's full of stuff, and AKA a mess. And not like food and stuff, but like a little bit of garbage, a lot of stuff, a lot of clothes, a lot of different things. And so over the course of a couple of days, I was like, my car doesn't smell very good. And I had bought this like countertop dishwasher on Facebook Marketplace. And I was like, oh, maybe there was standing water in it or something. So Jesse from Big Tide brought that up to my place for me because he's a very kind soul. And then it still smelled bad in the car the next day. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But then as you drive, you get nose blind.
Yep.
Next day, even worse again. I was like, I still don't know. Took out some more stuff and what I thought it could be, but nothing was adding up. And then I went to mom and dad's like a week ago Sunday. And when I went to leave there were like over 100 house flies congregated on the dashboard of my car.
No.
And I was like, oh my God, why? And I was like, oh, and it smells even worse now. So I rolled down all my windows and drove to Hampton and like shooed them away. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And finally the next morning I was like, okay, I got to go to Fredericton, and I had to drive a colleague. So I picked her up and I was like, I'm so sorry, but my car stinks so bad. And so we drove to Fredericton and it was gross. Like it was dead mouse. Like it was gross. And so on my way home from Fredericton, and I knew I had the rest of the week off. I stopped at my sister's house where she has a conducive place for like emptying literally everything out of my car. So we emptied the whole thing. My nephew helped me. It was great help. And then it still stunk. And there was nothing we pulled out that made sense to stink. We dug in all the crevices. And finally my sister Googled like why does my sister's car smell like dead mouse? I mean, not that specifically, but
Yeah.
but and sure enough, dead mouse. And so I was like, that's exactly what it smells like too. Oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And so I went to Mr. Lube the next day. And the guy, I was like, listen, I need an oil change, but also there's a dead mouse. I need your help. And so he opens the passenger side door to get the cabin filter out. And he says, oh, it really stinks. I said, oh, I know. Thanks, Tips. Like, I know, it's gross. And so then he pulls it out. I'm super squeamish as a human. And he's like, oh no. And he's got this poker stick. He goes, oh, and I was like, you got it. He's like, yeah. And I like turned my head so I didn't have to look at it. It was a whole scene.
Because it cooked all over the gross.
It's so gross. And on my way to Mr. Lube, I flipped it to the defrost because it was a little bit needed a little defrost. And I heard and I was like, oh my God.
That is terrible.
Oh, it was rough. And then even after the mouse was gone, I still had puffs of dead mouse smell coming through my vents. So I bought 4 of those air fresheners that you stick in the.
So you're just like woodsy fresh.
It's actually mandarin and it's quite lovely. Nice, it smells like candy.
Nice. How did Fringe go?
Fringe is good. Yeah. Not a huge crowd, but they were there. Like some of our like people that we know and showed up, and it was kind of nice. Like Jill Nadeau came, and Katie, who's been on the podcast, and Katie Green and Sarah Green and Melvin and Kristen. I don't know. This is Robert Room.
These are all the people that came
to the Fringe show, but it went great. John's show was awesome. Yeah. My set went well. Like it was a good time.
Did you do one show or did you multiple shows?
I just did one.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah.
That I didn't go to, obviously.
Obviously, because you've never seen him perform.
No, obviously, we're never going to. It's just that's just how this is going to happen.
I'm going to be a celebrity. You'll see me come on TV and be like,
nope, changed. No, I can't do it.
So the other thing I did this week, and I said I'd get to it later, and it's related to this podcast. Our last episode, I think it was our last episode, was about facing our fears, right?
Yeah, that was the last one or the one before. Yes, it was in this last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was one of the last ones we recorded. And I mentioned that I was putting off going to the doctor because I was afraid of bad news.
Yes. My wife scolded you.
And then your wife scolded me, and you too, but that didn't work on you.
Well.
And I was very worried that they were going to tell me that my sugars were high. And because I had this rash develop on my legs and I didn't know what was going on. And I showed my mom and she said, go to the doctor. And I knew by her reaction that it was more serious than I was imagining. And I was very stressed about it, but I like internalizing it all, as we talked about, because it's scary because you don't want.
Yeah, you don't want that news.
You don't want the bad news. But I put on my big girl pants and I went to the doctor, who was like a sweetheart. She was great. And she gave me some creams for my legs and told me that I'm probably going to have to get compression
shorts,
socks.
Oh, socks,
which will be real fun.
Yeah.
And I got my sugars. I said, now I have got blood work done. Now I haven't gotten the official diagnosis yet, but I did use Google.
Google MD,
which I know is not a wise choice, but I put in my exact numbers, and Google suggests that there's that I'm diabetic.
Yeah.
So that'll be a new fun facet to this podcast.
Yes.
That we'll talk about as it unrolls. But I wanted to tell you first, because it's a whole part of this thing is being open and transparent about what's going on and how we're dealing with it and all of that stuff. So here we are, open and transparent.
What are your, again, you don't know if you're actually diabetic or not, but how are you feeling about that possibility right now?
I mean, I was terrified. I thought that was like going to be terrible news. But honestly, now that I'm actually just getting it dealt with and not living in fear and stressing about the fact that it could be, I actually feel a lot better. And I know that action has to be taken. And I know that next steps are probably some kind of prescription drug and some combination of the drugs. And a lot of people that I know who have had a diabetes diagnosis have really whipped their lives into shape.
Yeah.
And other people don't. Other people don't take that and they just ignore it. But I'd been ignoring it, and I knew that I shouldn't.
Yeah, if you ignore it and don't know, it's almost worse.
Yeah. So I take that, and I'm kind of proud that I followed through and did the things, and I really do. I feel pretty good about it.
Okay.
I mean, not thrilled.
Obviously.
I'm not like running through, but I feel a lot better now that I'm taking care of some stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%.
As lead by example.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I think you should call your doctor.
Listen, when I get a doctor, I will call my doctor.
Well, go there clinics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could do that.
My Health NB. There are Health Link NB. You can sign up.
I already signed up on Health
Okay,
Link NB.
then good. You're on the way there.
Yeah. I actually, on our fear, the one episode about fear, the link to Health Link NB is in the bio.
Perfect.
Yeah. For anyone else that's looking like, oh shoot, I should probably also do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, diabetes isn't that terrible anymore. Like, Andrea has it, and she does pills, every day, which sucks, but that's what you gotta do.
I'm already on blood pressure medication. Right. It's just another pill.
And then she also does. She also has to do Ozempic instead of insulin. Ozempic now, I guess, is the one. So
yeah, and that's what I think is coming. I'm a pretty good Googler. I'm pretty good at staying on legitimate, fact-based stuff. I don't go to my doctor and be like, I already did your job for you.
Here are the things.
Here are the things. But I do think I am a pretty good researcher.
Oh yeah, no, educate yourself, right? That's the key is and understand what you're looking at,
right? And understand that even though it says it could be this, that, and the other thing, cancer. It's not.
It's always cancer.
And look at the legitimate possibilities and because I looked at all of my blood results and most of them are in the normal range except for sugar and the A1C and the chemistry one. And then the other thing that was out of whack was my good cholesterol was too low. So I was like, oh, how do I treat that? And they're like, more physical activity. I'm like, oh. Did
you look that up on the app, the My Health app?
I just looked up what the results were on the app.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I have that now too. It seems interesting.
It's really great.
Yeah. If you're not aware out there, New Brunswick just finally was in the last 2 months.
New Brunswick has had My Health NB for months.
They had
for years.
Well, they had the website, but they just.
I haven't downloaded the actual app yet. Yeah, I've just been using the website.
Oh yeah, now they have an app now that you can download all your stuff onto, which I prefer than a website on my phone.
Yeah, either or is fine for me because I just find that it's so cool that it's just almost instant, and there is a risk of working yourself into a tizzy before you actually see your doctor.
Yeah, I mean, I like it because I can see all the medications that I've been subscribed to or prescribed.
Subscribed to my internet.
Click. For $19.99 a month, you can
like and subscribe to Ozempic.
So I can see when my prescription for my Ventolin puffers is about to expire, so I can try and arrange to get that done.
Oh, really? Where do you get your prescription? Because Shoppers does that for me. They're like, you need to renew your prescriptions now.
I spent years without renewing it, so yeah, because I don't so I have asthma and my asthma doesn't affect me that often.
But when it does,
it does, and it's usually when I'm at a Ventolin puffer, and I'm like, oh, okay,
now my throat is closing. Great,
great, yeah. But yeah, no. But have you been doing anything else while we were separated?
Comedy. I had a couple of band shows. Not to be confused with banjos. And I spent a great deal of time over the last few days watching several episodes in a row.
What show?
Of One Tree Hill.
Ooh, going old school. You know I watched in Toronto and before we went everywhere?
What?
Grey's Anatomy.
That's awesome. I watched all of Grey's Anatomy in about a year ago, like every single episode that existed to that point.
Oh my goodness.
That was a real commitment.
I didn't want to put something on that I wanted to actually watch.
Fair.
So that I could like just, okay, time to go and shut the TV off and leave. So Grey's Anatomy seemed like a perfect fit for like a trash TV show that is still kind of entertaining, which is interesting.
It's so good.
It is well written. I will say that.
Like the first three seasons of Grey's Anatomy are three of the best seasons of television.
I trash television, yes.
I wouldn't. Why are you calling it the first three seasons are not trash?
It is trash TV.
It's not.
It's good, but it's trash TV.
Like, what is your definition of trash TV?
It's soap opera-y. Soap opera-y is trash TV to me.
Well, it definitely has some drama.
Some drama? The first season, like half the season is like his wife shows up and
that's not till like the third season.
No, that's the very first season. This is turned into a Grey's Anatomy podcast. We're gonna watch every episode. We're gonna argue about them.
No, we're not. I was done when I watched it originally, like on TV, like every week. When the musical episode happened, I think in season 8, I was like, I'm done.
There was a musical episode?
Yeah, it was awful.
Oh my God. Yeah. No.
I checked out then. That's what I checked out the first time.
Well, you know, when you jump the shark.
Yeah.
If you don't know that reference, Google it.
Happy days.
Happy days. But yeah, no, I did when I got back, I didn't really do any exercising except our buddy Nigel has moved. Congratulations, Nigel. Actually getting a house.
Congratulations, Nigel.
So we're helping him move this weekend, which was a good time and a hard time, and my back is still killing me from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing since I got back, and now I'm about to go into teenage mode because the expansion for World of Warcraft is about to come out.
Ooh.
But anything you want to tell the people about before we sign off?
Well, this comes out on Wednesday. I'm trying to think of what's coming up real quick. On September 9th, I'm performing at Rustico in Fredericton. September 20th, I'm performing in Oromocto, actually. So check that out. And I have a potential gig in Grand Manan if I can swing it. But what about you?
Nothing really. I mean, the World of Warcraft will be hunkered down for that for a couple weeks. I think that's gonna be my nerd out thing for a little bit. And hopefully my back doesn't feel too bad and start getting back to the gym again.
Yeah, I've been trying to move more, and I've been eating better in the last couple of weeks, and I actually feel good.
Yeah,
like not great,
but good. But
better. Like even just there were points this summer that there's like a tiny little walk from the parking lot where I have to park to come here to Isaiah's house. And there were times where that was a very big challenge. And today, even in uncomfortable shoes, it felt pretty good.
Nice. Good.
So like we're coming. I'm not cheating on any 5Ks anytime soon, but like,
but we're getting there.
But we're getting it's better.
We got it. We got a little less than a year for the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
The signups have already started. We can already sign up.
not without money.
That's true. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me. Please never do that voice again, Caitlin. At Fat Caitlin on TikTok, the Caitlin Dean on X, Caitlin Dean on Facebook, and we're at Kate and Isaiah Living Large on Facebook.
Yeah. And you can find me at Maritime Brews on all the social medias, as well as we still have our Buy Me a Coffee up. We've gotten a few donations in the last month or two. Thank you for all those people that have been donating.
Yeah, thank you. I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm keeping it a surprise. Other than that, if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast at, we appreciate you listening there. And if you want to watch the videos, you can always hop on over to YouTube. And if you're listening on YouTube, again, we do appreciate that as well. And if you could like, share, subscribe, comment, that goes a long way to helping us out. And without further ado, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.